Good evening. Welcome to American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. It's Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night, we come on and we talk about anything we can think of to talk about West Ham or football or anything else. Um, which lately it's just been talking about how the Premier League is going to restart if and when, and now the Germans are going to lead the way for us, and we'll see how that goes. And the Koreans, let's not forget, the K League starts back this weekend. So you
Yeah.
guys who follow the K League, I think we have a club to follow in the K League if you want to know who it is. I got to look it up though because I forget how to pronounce the name. So, but there's a very West Ham type club in the K League that have never won the league, won the FA Cup once, go up and down all the time. I think that's my K League club. So, anyway, before we get started, I want to tell everybody, as always, check out AmericanHammers.net, our website. You can buy all sorts of stuff there. If you want all sorts of stuff, you can get it. Clothing, accessories, decor for your home, all with American Hammers or possibly even West Ham stuff on it. The West Ham Mega Store is open again. I got the email today. West Ham never fails to email me that stuff is available to purchase. Even after we lose, I get these emails. Oh, buy our kit. Which that drives me batty. Anyway, but the Mega Store will take 2 months or something like that to deliver to the U.S. right now. So you might as well just get stuff for American Hammers TV and our American Hammers Network at AmericanHammers.net. Also, if you guys want to be on the show, anybody who wants to be on the show, come on the show. I keep getting these messages from work. This never happens. It's like 9 o'clock at night. People at work are messaging me stuff. So anyway, sorry if I'm a little distracted. If you want to be on the show, let us know. If you're a West Ham supporter anywhere in the world, we'd love to have you on. And other than that, I guess we'll get started. I have made it my goal to not talk as much tonight, to let everybody else talk a little bit, to let the chat room talk to us a little bit. I see it filling up. I see Rebecca and Rob and Tebow and Wally. And where's Gabe? Where's my buddy Gabe? He needs to come back. I need to find out, make sure he's okay. Gabe is a good dude. My buddy down there in Austin, who's in high school. I know he's got nothing else to do. He's not in school. He's not studying. He's not doing anything. So come back, Gabe, wherever you are. Anyway, why don't we do a new thing tonight? Why don't you guys tell us who you are and where you are, and maybe start by giving us a thought on what your take is on the increasingly ridiculous notion of the Premier League reopening with no football being played, no shirt swaps, no touching, no spitting, no hitting, no nothing. Steve, why don't you start?
Hi everybody, I'm Steve. I'm in southeast London. I've just been on Adam's game show with Justin. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out on YouTube. It's fantastic. Adam's great. I won. I fluked it.
Awesome! Congratulations. That's good.
It was the Hangman. It was the Hangman. Yeah, it was the Hangman round that did it for me.
I haven't watched it yet.
I was just lucky, I think.
I was putting the boys to bed.
Yeah, do it because it is great. Yeah. It is great.
Yeah, I should watch it after we get done here.
And Adam's a good guy.
Yeah. I don't know Adam actually. I think he does Wayne's podcast with him. So, but I haven't seen him except maybe on Twitter. So, So give us an opening thought, Steve, on the Premier League Project Restart.
Project Restart is
just being
stupid.
Branded.
Yeah, it's stupid. I'm all for. I think the 1920 season should be finished. I just don't think not yet. I think it's too soon. I don't know what their motivation is apart from money. I don't know if perhaps they're getting lent on by agents or by maybe sports ministers. Who knows?
Yeah.
But no, it's too soon. I would rather sacrifice the whole of next season, and even if we had to finish the 1920 season in 2021,
yep,
and lose that season, I'd rather do that.
I'm starting to lean that way too.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Who's next?
I can go. All right. I'm Joss. It says Josh there because it's hard to pronounce my name. But I'm from
I
Kansas
always
City,
call
Missouri.
you Josh. Your name is Joss with 2 S's,
It
right?
is. It is.
I
Yeah.
always call you Josh because when I see it on the screen. That's what I think. So
No, yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. It's the jokes. It's the jokes of it.
Oh,
I
here he
mean-
is. Wait. Sorry, I got to stop
No,
the presses here. Here he is. Moving house. Oh, wow,
Hey, Gabe.
that is not good having to move house. Yeah, obviously it's difficult with all the stuff going on. Nice to see you, Gabe. Glad you're here. Sorry, Joss. Go ahead. Apologize. Keep going.
No, you're good. I am from Kansas City, Missouri, home of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. Probably the last ever Super Bowl champions that we'll ever have.
I was gonna say, you're gonna be able to say that for a long time, either because
Yes,
they're gonna
I will.
repeat or because they're not gonna be in the Super Bowl for like 5 years.
Yes, I will. It's yeah. Crazy to think that was only 2 months ago. By the way, we had a big parade and everything, and people were out talking and milling around like it was, and there was not a worry in the world. Crazy to think, but
Yeah.
glad to be here. My thoughts on the Premier League restarting is that, like, I get Germany and Korea restarting because they handled the pandemic very well. I think they handled COVID very well. So I think that they're in their rights to start again. And I think that they're doing it correctly without fans and only the necessities for the teams to run being at the games. I think that's the important part. So I don't think the Premier League can start yet. I think that give Liverpool the title, just give it to them, promote West Brom and Leeds, and we go again. That's what I think.
All right. Good. Fair. John, I am talking less tonight. I promise you that. So we're all introducing ourselves and giving a take on the Premier League restarting.
Oh.
How's it look from Virginia?
Pretty good actually. So I'm Cameron. I'm down in Richmond, Virginia. Trying to kind of start a supporters group down here. I've been on a couple times and everything.
Yeah, you've been on with us before, right? Haven't we been on before?
Yeah,
right?
a few times.
Yeah.
Like I think this is number 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah,
somewhere
that sounds
in there.
right. Yeah, I was telling Steve I'd lose track so easily. Anyway, go ahead.
As far as kind of the restart and everything, I think I'm pretty much in total agreement with Joss that just at this point, just call it a day. I mean, it's just there's too many logistics to how's it going to affect the next 10 years of seasons versus just, okay, Liverpool ran away with it. Let's just promote the 2 teams and go.
Okay, good. I will get back to this in a minute, of course. John, good to see you again. It's about a week ago last time I saw you, I think.
Yeah.
I'll let you introduce yourself in case people don't know who you are, although they should, because you're the host of our very successful game show that just finished. And give us your take on the restart.
Sure. Yeah, John Nolan. You can follow me here. Host of Friday Night Likes, which is on Sundays. Makes sense of that one.
Is it coming back? Are we doing another one? Because I think Charlie Walsh just won the whole thing.
Charlie did win the whole thing. He had a very successful run. Katie did fantastic, got to the final, and it was super close yet again. I think most of our games. Cameron, you were on, I believe.
Yeah, I was on once.
Yeah. So most of our games and our lineups were very, very close. So it was action packed, thrilling season. We are planning a season 2. Tim is busy behind the scenes, and people don't see that, but the amount of work that Tim puts in behind the scenes, especially on Friday Night Lights, is quite incredible. So
it's enormous what Tim does. Tim runs everything, and I don't think people understand that everything we do is because he does all the work. Yeah, all I do is sit here for an hour a week or 2 hours a week and talk. He does everything else. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I come here just to have a beer and talk about West Ham because
right.
I can walk into any pub in London and do that, but I can't walk into any pub in the Philadelphia area and do that. So I just bring the pub to me. That's why I'm here. But yeah, my take, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat room that hasn't heard my take on it at this point, and it kind of goes back and forth. But I'd be happy as long as everybody gets the same level of shit. As long as it's shit for everybody, I think that's fine. You can hand Liverpool the title. You can not relegate the 3 at the bottom. You can bring up the 2 from the league below. I'm at the point now where looking at it, you know, they're not going to start next season on time. I think they're fully in doubt about that. They are blinded by their own self-interest, by money, and they have to be. I mean, honestly, these Premier League clubs, unless you're owned by an oil baron, you know, a lot of them are in real danger. They're in real problems, and they will be, I think, because
I do too.
they're all operating on shoestring kind of profits. And
we'll be one of them, by the way. Yeah, we'll be one of them.
Oh, absolutely, we
That's the
will.
trouble.
Yeah,
We'll be down there with Brighton and Bournemouth and all the rest of them that are struggling, you know, to survive.
absolutely. So that's why they're after it. I think you could starting this season makes no sense. The start of next season is going to be very difficult. So at this point, if you really want it to happen and you have to end the season, why not just start the season when it's safe and go from there? Right. Don't allow any transfers. Don't allow players to leave clubs. Don't allow the bottom teams and the top of the championship to get pillaged by the richer clubs.
Right.
Contracts will have to be automatically extended, and the players should probably feel a little bit of the pain too. They may have to take a salary cut in those middle months. But to me, it makes no sense. I think it's a slap in the face of ordinary people. You know, that these guys may end up getting tests above everybody, that they're going to take medical personnel away from regular people. It's just tone deaf. It's just tone deaf.
I mean, there are two things I don't understand. Two fundamental things I don't understand. Even in Germany, where I know the government has, I guess statistically anyway, done a good job of controlling the virus than in the UK. Germans have had far fewer deaths anyway. Similar number of cases, but like a quarter the number of deaths, I think. I don't know why that is. I don't really want to get into why that is. But even in Germany, what I don't understand is if it's safe for players to play, if it's safe for 22 guys to, sweat all over each other and breathe on each other and cough on each other and blow those snot rockets I always blow when the camera catches them, then why isn't it safe to do anything else? I mean, is it just because they're going to be tested constantly? Is that why? I mean, if you're going to have the players back in the ground, if you're going to have TV crew and everything else, why not just open it all back up? You know, I feel as though the players are almost being put out there as like sacrifices, you know, to the TV gods. And I understand that they're young guys, they're healthy, they shouldn't really be vulnerable to dying of this virus, but I don't think they want to catch it. And, you know, certainly there are people who catch it and never have any symptoms. There are others who have mild cases. There are others who go through hell. They have, you know, even if they survive, it's very severe. So I really don't get, like, I don't get why it's okay for the players to, again, you know, be all over each other and all the crew and everything it's going to take to even get a match on television, why it's okay for them, but then nobody else can, like, go down to the pub. Do you know what I mean?
And they're not going to be able to control it, right? So they've talked about quarantine, they've talked about isolating, they've talked about doing it at neutral sites. Gary Neville even talked about taking
going to Australia
abroad, which is absurd. But you know,
although Australians don't want a bunch of people from England coming in and restarting their lockdowns and, you know, giving them a COVID again. They've got it under control.
Well, listen, I think, you know, if they keep playing the games in England, obviously fans are going to show up. And if they do it in Australia, Neil will be there for the West Ham games anyway. So
Neil will be there. That's right. He will.
Have to deal with one Aussie at least. So, I mean, either way you look at it, these guys cannot live in a bubble. They can't live in a closed system. Even if they are all stuck in a hotel together, and that's all 20 teams, you got catering staff, you have hotel managers, you have places where entry for the virus is completely possible. And you know, it's just tone deaf. I don't know.
Well, didn't we hear that a bunch of Germans, like 10 German players, have tested positive after starting training again?
Yeah, FC Cologne, wasn't it?
Right. Well, I didn't know that, Steve, but yes, I'm sure you're right. So this is another thing I don't understand. It's still safe for them to sort of go and play, even though it's spreading again. It's a logic to me that doesn't make any sense. The other thing I don't understand is the TV thing. right? I mean, I know there's concern about having to give TV money back if the games aren't broadcast, but I mean, what happens when next season doesn't start on time either? You can't, if you start the Premier League in June and you play, even if you cram 92 games into a month, which seems crazy, but even if you're able to do that, I don't think you can turn around and have these guys start again in August again. After they can't end at the end of June and then take like a few weeks of off. There's no preseason, there's no closed season. They just turn right back around again. So at some point you're going to lose games. Do you know what I mean? Or you're going to push games. You're either going to do it now or you're going to do it later. So I'm thinking TV money disappears either in mid 2020 or late 2020 or earlier sometime. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand the thinking that like, oh, we can't give the TV money back. You're going to lose it eventually unless you find some way to bridge a gap in the calendar. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah. I'm glad the Bundesliga is coming back. I just want to say that because I miss it. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of players that end up contracting COVID and they can't play, and then their teams can't play, and then we lose games because their whole team has to go into quarantine at that point.
Right.
And then we're not going to have the right. They're not going to have the right amount of players, or they're going to have to play some youth players, and that won't be that won't be fair. Exactly. I mean, having one player injured and playing youth players different than having 10 players injured and playing 10 youth players. So it'll just be interesting to see exactly how big how much it affects the actual game day and the actual starting 11s and the actual teams. It'll be interesting to see.
And what does happen when somebody tests positive, which somebody will? I mean, what do you do? Does that guy sit out? Because then you've got he's trained with the team. He's showered with his teammates. He's breathed all over everybody at some point, opponents and teammates. But what do you do? Do you shut the whole thing down for 2 more weeks? Do you just tell him go self-isolate? I don't understand that contingency plan either. Does anybody understand how that's going to work?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I
it's
mean,
an exercise in futility.
Do what? Sorry, Cameron, what'd you say?
I said it's an exercise in futility to try and restart this because all it's going to do is make things worse, and then clubs are going to kind of complain even more because Harry Kane got COVID. That's the reason we dropped 6 spots and lost TV money, and it's just going to turn into an entire little wine fest no matter what they do when they restart.
But that's exactly it too, right? So what was the guidance from UEFA when they were talking about the Champions League and other places like that? Their guidance was, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, it was they want these leagues to finish the competitions in a sporting manner in order to determine who should get UEFA qualification, Champions League qualification, etc. I don't think any of these leagues can actually do that at this point because the rules have been changed. They're talking about halves that aren't even 45 minutes long. They're talking about playing neutral venues. If anybody's read the book Soccernomics, right, and this is going back a few years now, home field advantage counts for at least 1 goal per game on average for the home team. So if you can't even play home field advantage anymore,
except West Ham,
how is that sporting? Yeah, except West Ham. It's probably
the key being average,
goal
which
against the last
puts us
minute.
below the line. You know what I mean? Average means everybody else makes up for us.
Yeah, we bring the average way down.
Yeah, where median is a difference. Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's another issue for me is, and I'll admit this, I'm biased. This is an issue of self-interest. I think if they're going to play in neutral grounds, I think if they're going to play even without fans, then you can't have relegation at that point. Maybe you can sort out European places. You can give Liverpool the stupid trophy. I don't care about that. Or you can sort out, the Sheffield United go to Europe or whatever, but you can't send a club down potentially for years to come based on matches played with 30-minute halves in a stadium in, Sheffield, or I don't know where they'd be, Sunderland. You know what I mean? It doesn't, that to me, that's not, it compromises the competition way too much.
I don't get this 30-minute half thing either. What are they saying? That the virus only passes on in the last 15 minutes? That's ridiculous.
So the virus only happens in Fergie time, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I said 30 minutes. I made that number up, but they are talking about non-45-minute halves.
Yeah. I think all that's shown is that Gordon Taylor's losing the plot.
Well, and again, if it's about the TV money, I still feel as though you can't make that up. You're going to lose it. Either you're going to lose it this season or you're going to lose it next season. You're going to lose it at some point. But I'm coming around. In all honesty, I'm kind of coming around, Steve, to what you and John were saying, and I think for West Ham's best interest, the best thing to do would be, call the season where it is, tell Leeds and West Brom, congratulations, you were good enough, and run a bigger league. That'll never happen. Run a bigger league. But I'm starting to come around just like, let's finish it when it's safe to finish it,
Yeah.
And then you have an off season, a closed season, and then you pick it up. You pick up after that. If it's 22, 23, whatever, that's when you do it. Don't get me wrong. I want us to stay up, and I guarantee you that that's going to be a difficult task when the season starts again, no matter how it starts. But I mean, if the point is you got to finish the season, then do it when it's safe to do it. And I personally think you should do it when fans can be in the grounds too. Although I don't know how long that's going to be, or how many people are going to show up.
Yeah. Well, that's what I agree with. Is I really disagree with like playing the rest of the season on neutral ground and everything, because say us playing, I don't know, I forget who we have left at this point, but like playing Chelsea
Villa,
on a neutral
Chelsea,
ground is going to be way different than us playing like Aston Villa on a neutral ground, where home field advantage in one of those games would mean a hell of a lot more, especially for like a London derby or something.
Although, we're so bad at London Stadium and everybody hates it so much that I almost think the neutral ground is what's going to guarantee our survival.
As long as you tell Mark Noble that it's a London derby, we're going to win the game.
Yeah. Exactly. As long as it's a Spurs shirt or a Chelsea shirt on the other side, he'll be up for it. But there is the argument, I mean, as much as it would be great for us to sort of be saved by the virus, there is the argument that neutral sites with no fans, that could be great for us. No, I mean, am I crazy or?
No, I mean, I think you're right. Aston Villa and Bournemouth, Norwich, they've got great home fans. I think Villa Park's a wonderful stadium. It's always full. So, I think that if we shouldn't be like too worried, I think, about this neutral stadium, because we kind of already play in a neutral stadium.
Right. That's just what Rob's saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
So,
kind of. Yeah.
I don't know. We wouldn't have to worry. I think that teams like Villa, Norwich, Bournemouth, they have a very good and a very viable worry. Yeah. But I think that we realistically don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, because it's funny if you think about it. The players, they seem to say that, the various protests and so forth don't really bother them. They don't pay attention to it. I don't think that's true. I think they have to know what's going on. And I'm with the protesters. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. But there's no way that doesn't affect the team. A couple of years ago, I sat on an airplane next to a guy who was an NFL player for 4 or 5 years. It was a lineman. He wasn't anybody famous, but I just asked him a lot of questions, and he was very forthcoming. And I said, well, does it bother players when people are yelling at him, cussing at him, calling him names and all this stuff? And he said, yeah, it does,
Mm-hmm.
It does, because they're human beings, and well, look, you saw a great man like Zinedine Zidane get pushed over the edge in the World Cup final. When Materazzo, whatever his name was, called his sister a whore or whatever it is he said. And, he gets a red card in a World Cup final. So it does. So I mean, all the stuff that was surrounding West Ham before the season paused. I think with all of that gone, because I can't imagine like people getting together and protesting. With all that gone, maybe it's not bad for us. Maybe we do want to. Maybe we rocket up the table and we finish like 10th. I don't know what do you? I'm throwing it open. What do you think, Steve?
No, um, yeah, we won't rock it up. No table, mate. No, we'll tread water and you know, I mean, who knows? Jack Wilshere's allegedly fit. He might come back and tear it all up, and he might drag us up there. Who knows?
Well, you know, I mean, that's another thing to think about is what do we look like if it comes back? What do our opponents look like if it comes back? I think the biggest objection that we'll have is if even, you know, neutral grounds are bad enough, but even playing without fans, like our last game of the season is home to Villa. That very well could be for survival if it gets played. That could be for survival.
Yeah, and the fans will play a part in that if it is.
Right, and I don't think there's any way. I mean, to me, there's, you know, with the relegation competition the way it is, with like 5-6 clubs down at the bottom, you know, there's nobody's dead to rights. You know what I mean? Even Norwich could pull a great escape.
They could do, yeah.
I don't think you can, and they were starting to look a little better before the season paused. I don't think you can have that game played in front of an empty stadium. We had to go to Villa Park. Now they're going to come to London Stadium. There's going to be nobody there, or we're going to play a game in, you know, in Aberdeen or someplace, or Perth, Australia. You know what I mean? And there's going to be nobody there. I mean, how on earth is that a 1-to-1 thing when you're, you know, going against a team that, you know, where you're trying to survive?
Well, I don't know. But I don't know if it's going to help or not. But I noticed that some of the Bundesliga teams, certainly the team I follow, Borussia Mönchengladbach, the fans are paying to have cardboard cutouts of themselves put on their seats. And the Premier League are thinking, apparently I was reading today, the Premier League are thinking of producing this app where if the games are being televised, you can send cheers or jeers via the app to the stadium, and they're going to have like canned applause and things around the stadium.
I hate that. Oh man, I can't describe how much I hate that.
Yeah, it's you know, it's going to be silly.
So every stadium turns into Tottenham's ground with the fake noise being pumped in.
Well,
yeah.
At that
could
point,
you imagine? Could you imagine? I couldn't imagine a cardboard cutout of me stuck on my seat at the London Stadium. That would be
every
just too
day
dark.
that goes by of this pandemic, we're getting closer and closer to Ready Player One. Soon we'll just all VR into the stadium, and we can all pretend like we're actually there.
You know, I had the same thought. It's getting that way. I can remember as a kid reading, you know, fiction like what you're talking about, like Ready Player One, things like that, where, you know, the story would be, oh, you know, in the future we're not going to watch humans, we're going to watch robots, or we're going to watch a virtual competition, and we're actually getting there. You know, people are watching these ridiculous FIFA battles that players are having with each other, which of course we lost in the first round. There was never any doubt about that. But yeah, it is getting closer and closer to that. I just, you know, I'm probably the only one who still feels this way. I don't think they should play again until you can get fans and everybody else in, because it doesn't make any sense to me, again, that you can have guys sweat all over each other, breathe all over each other, cough, sneeze, whatever they're going to do, and it's okay for them, but you can't, you got to wear a mask if you walk down to get a quart of milk. It doesn't make any sense. Just health-wise.
What's the question, Lee? The question is the Premier League too big to fail? Right? I mean, is that at the point where either the government steps in to buoy all the teams, or they say, you know, just blind to the health reasons and go with the economic reasons to bring it back?
I think, well, if you look at responses around the world to the virus, I mean, I think we understand now that economic reasons drive a lot of decisions. Let's just put it that way. So, you know, is it too big to fail? I don't think it is. But I also think that the Premier League and maybe sports leagues in general are kind of underestimating the impact that this thing is going to have on life for a little while to come. I mean, do you think people are going to, want to crowd into stadiums right after this is over? I'm not convinced that they will. I don't know, and what does over look like? Do you know what I mean? I have no idea. But I know that most Americans right now say they don't want to go out to eat. They don't want to do anything,
Yeah.
I mean, like 75%, which is a very large percentage of anybody to say anything on any survey. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, what does global football look like for the next couple of years? And does this make anything like a permanent change? We've never gone through this before in our lifetime.
I reckon that if West Ham said that they was going to play Tottenham this Saturday, you'd get 40,000 people there.
Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Would you go?
Yep.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Would you go? How would you go? Would you be like in a mask and gloves, or in a hazmat suit, or just in your shirt?
No, I'll just go in my shirt.
Have you guys seen the kid on Twitter? The little hooligan kid. Have you guys seen this? I know we retweeted it from our account. It's a little. He's a West Ham kid. He's probably like 10. Maybe he's like 12. I don't know. But he starts out wearing a West Ham shirt, and he's like, "Oh, but you don't wear your little shirt to the match, do you?" And he like snaps his fingers, and he's wearing like the Stone Island jacket and a polo hat, and talking about how to be a little how to be a little thug.
Yeah, he's
I
from
gotta, like,
Yorkshire, though.
Huh?
He sounds like he's from Yorkshire or
Oh,
something.
you've seen him then?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay, so I don't know where he's from, but he's got like West Ham curtains in his room. All this, it's pretty fantastic if you know the truth. I think it's great, actually. But yeah, it reminds me of him. Just going to show up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Germans are, going to be a real test case for us, and maybe even South Korea as well. Which is South Korea's situation is not dissimilar. South Korea shut everything down early, and kind of avoided most of the problems. There's only been something like 250 deaths from COVID-19 in South Korea. It's been, very well under control. They got their baseball league up and running too again, for anybody who could stand watching that. But, I mean, what do any thoughts, predictions on what the Bundesliga is going to look like when it opens back up, and how long it's going to last? Is it going to make it?
I think we'll have like a couple game weeks, but then we'll see some infection rates go up, and they're going to call it.
That's what I fear too.
Yeah, that's my bet.
Cameron, you think the same thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks tops, if that.
The crazy thing to me is, in some of these countries, like Singapore, had basically gotten the pandemic under control, and then it started again, and Singapore had to lock down again, and they traced it to like one guy, right? They traced it to a Bangladeshi worker who came into the country. France has maybe traced the first case in France back to December to one guy. So I know this sounds stupid, but if I'm German, if the Bundesliga is going to open back up, you got to bring all the French guys and Italian guys and everybody else back in from. I mean, if one guy can restart the whole thing, why could that one guy not be a footballer? Is that a dumb question?
All it would take to shut everything back down again is 2 teams play a game, and you have more than one person on each team come down with it. Dunzo.
Well, I mean, I would think.
I think it's just break it out into mini leagues. You could have little COVID leagues where the COVID teams play each other and the non-COVID teams. So I
3
think the
times
opposite.
goal wins.
I think
It's an immunity league.
So much egg on their face if they bring it back and then have to pull it back again. I almost feel, and I have no clue what they're going to do, but as an educated guess, perhaps, I think that because they want to save some face, if they bring it back, they may try and see out the season. And whether that's extending the season or whether it is giving some leeway on not allowing teams to be relegated and changing the rules after they've already started with what the new rules are anyway. Yeah. I think you could see some kind of adaptation 2 to 3 weeks in when it turns out that 3 teams have got players with COVID or whatever.
I think we could too. I think there's going to be a lot of rule changes, and I think we'll just we'll see how the Bundesliga goes, because if it's able to sort of stay open and that's gonna give the Premier League a lot of impetus to follow. But you got to think if Bundesliga shuts down after a couple of weeks, it's got to be over all over the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Cameron, what do you think?
Oh no, I mean, I think everybody is very intentionally waiting to see what happens with the Bundesliga, and they're going to make their decision based off of that 3 to 4 weeks down the line. I think that's going to be kind of the threshold, is once you get to that 4th or 5th week, because that's what, like 2 cycles of COVID spreading or non-symptomatic or whatever, then that's where they'll go, oh, okay, maybe not. Let's see what's going on.
Because it can take a couple of weeks for the symptoms to show up and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If this stuff lags so far behind, you don't know where you are until it's too late. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what we've experienced here in Massachusetts. We've been hit really hard, actually, in Massachusetts, and I think part because it was kind of moving around in like February. There were reports of people who had it. There was a big Biogen conference in Cambridge where it spread quickly, but the lockdowns came later, and by the time the lockdowns came, it was already a community spread throughout the population. So I think that you're right. It's with the Bundesliga, probably for a couple of weeks it'll rock along pretty steadily, and then if there's a situation where people start to get infected, it's just going to be like that. That's how it is.
I know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. Well, I know where John, you're in Philly, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, I know with Philly, I do real estate research, and my market is the Philly kind of southern New Jersey market and everything, and they are completely shut down, where real estate brokers would get fined if they show houses right now there.
Right.
I mean, it's dead in the water.
Yeah, and I think the UK is still locked down, right? I mean, for another week, I think, something like that. So it's I don't really understand why it's okay for footballers to play football, but nobody else can do anything. Let's talk about so if we come back in June, who comes back? Is everybody healthy? I mean, who do you think is going to be in form, not in form? Will there even be form? Lanzini says it's crazy to play until there's a vaccine. I know a lot of Premier League players have suggested they don't want to come back. They can't really say that publicly for a lot of reasons, but there's been some reports about how they've expressed some concern. If we come back on June 8th, what do you think it looks like? I mean, what do you think it looks like from West Ham's perspective? Who plays? Is Wilshere in the side? Is he healthy? And not only that, I mean, what does a corner look like? Do you know what I mean? What does a free kick look like? Does the wall have 6-foot gaps in it? like when I think it was, who was it who hit the free kick against Tottenham a couple of years ago? Was it Cresswell hit the free kick against Tottenham and one of their players just like turned and let the ball go through? I saw that on Twitter the other day. It was great. What do you guys think it looks like? What does football look like? Is it a normal match, or are the players, first of all, do they all weigh 400 pounds? I don't know. What do you think? Any predictions? Anybody who wants to go for it, just jump in.
Well, I think purely because of the nature of the game, it's all or nothing, isn't it? Football, you can't do a halfway thing with it at all. Because otherwise, what's the point? It's just going to be, it's going to be the best you could hope for would be like a friendly, where people don't want to tackle, where people don't want to. But like you said, even those games have corners and free kicks and things. And if the teams have been in this 2-week quarantine and they've all been regularly tested and none of them are showing any symptoms or tested, everybody's tested negative.
Yeah.
There is an argument there to say, well, what's the problem? They're all negative.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is.
But who have they come in contact with? Unless they're going to have those tests right before they go on the field to play.
Yep. Well,
it's no good having a test tomorrow.
There is an argument
for a game that's being played Saturday.
Right. The only the problems, of course, there are several issues, as you know. One, I don't know what the supply of tests is like right now. If Premier League footballers should be getting them over people like healthcare workers or truck drivers, you know. Two, the tests are not 100% accurate. And three, are they going to test like everybody in the ground? And then include like, you know, trainers, doctors, TV crew. There's got to be a grounds crew that's got to mow the grass. You know, I mean, if it's so bad that if you could touch a surface and somebody else touches it, you know, 2 minutes later and touches his face, if the person gets it, are they going to test all these people before every match, like hundreds of tests before every match across? You know,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just it's not sustainable, is it?
I don't think it is. but I mean, so I've even forgotten what our fixtures are for the rest of the season because it's just been,
Yeah, no, I have no idea at this point.
it's been so long. But I know we have Chelsea. I know we have Spurs. I know we have Villa.
We have Wolves.
We have Wolves.
We have Burnley. We have. Let me think. We have Wolves. We have Burnley. We have Watford at home.
So who are some of the players who would come back to oppose us? Like, is Harry Kane going to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much about his injury or anything like that. I don't know. Like, is this our teams back to relative full strength again? That's another question that has to be asked. There's not really anything to be known about which players are back from injury. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, when the league starts up again.
That's what I mean. I don't have a feel for kind of where we're going to be competitively. I don't have a feel for how well our players have trained. And I mean, we've basically had almost an entire closed season. It's been almost all of March, most of March, I guess. It's been all of April. It's probably going to be all of May. You're coming up on an entire like off season. Do you throw the guys back out there? They're professional athletes. Can they handle it? Usually you get a preseason, you get warm-ups and everything else. Do you just chuck them back out there and say, okay, go play to keep the club up. Wolves are next. Do you just chuck them back out there, or how does that work?
They'll chuck them back out there. Yeah, there's no way they're going to allow any kind of time between potential exposure and the league starting. If they're starting the league, they're going to go.
I mean, with how much money these people are getting paid, like, I mean, train, stay healthy, stay fit.
Right.
Like, you're making more money than God. Just, like, do the basics.
I mean, you would hope, right?
Yeah.
But you see the effort some of our players put in on the pitch during a match. Kind of makes you wonder, how much they're putting it off of it.
I will say I follow Lukas Fabianski on Twitter or on Instagram, and he's putting up like videos of him doing like goalkeeping training on a fairly regular basis and everything. So he's at it, I suppose.
I mean, I think most of them are. I don't know. I've always wondered. It's a different question altogether. I've always wondered about the value of a preseason anyway. But most sports do something along those lines. I mean, how necessary is it? What do you guys think? I have no idea.
Oh, I think
it's very necessary.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
How come?
Well, it's like any job. If you have 3 months off, when you first get back into that job, it always feels a bit like you got to get used to it again, if you like. So these fellas have got to get used to playing together again. They've got to get used to, match fit.
Were they ever used to playing with one another?
They're not, they might have been keeping themselves physically fit, but they're not match fit now, are they?
And so that's what I'm saying. So we're just going to throw them back out there in June and say like, okay, and not only match fit, you have to be match fit, but you have to be match fit to save your club from relegation, or to get your club into Europe. I mean, the stakes are like immediately high,
And I've got Sky Sports News on while we're talking. There was something going across the ticker. I only just caught a glimpse of it before it went to the adverts, or as you guys say, the commercial break.
Yes.
But that was saying something about the Premier League club doctors are pushing back against
They are.
what
I read
the
that as
Premier League
well.
want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter what the doctors say. It doesn't matter what the players say. It only matters. All that matters is getting that TV money in. I don't even think it's about Liverpool. People say if it weren't Liverpool at the top of the league, we wouldn't even be talking about restarting. I don't think that's true. I mean,
But are all the players in this country even?
that's
Did
what I
some
mean.
of
I
them
have no
go
idea.
home while they still could pre-lockdown?
I know
Have we got players in France and Italy and Spain and places?
That's what I'm saying is I know Lanzini is in England because I saw a picture of him in his apartment overlooking London. I don't know. I know the women's team. I know like Cho from the women's team. They're a Korean player. She went back to South Korea. I know that Son from Tottenham, the Korean Tottenham player, he went back to Korea to like do his military service or something. I don't know how that works. But our players, I don't know. But I would think this is what I mean. You have to get people back from all over the world. You'd have to get people back from even from the U.S. Where we've been like very hard hit. So it seems I'm with you, Steve. I don't understand how that works either.
Time to load up the Sky Sports jet, send it around the world, pick them up, bring them home.
Torino's just had a player tested positive.
Italians were talking about coming back too, if I'm not mistaken.
Friday, they were supposed to start training.
Well, I mean, they were supposed to start training. Yeah, so I guess, I just don't know. I guess we'll just find out what happens. We're just going to watch and see,
It's a minefield.
It feels like a minefield. And I'll tell you what I think is the real danger is that one of these Roy Hodgson aged managers is going to come down with it and not,
Could you imagine?
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, to be honest, yes, I can imagine. That's what I'm saying is, if you figure everybody talks about the players, the players. But you got to have like TV commentators, you got to have TV producers, you got to have, again, groundskeepers, you have to have some sort of stadium staff there. You have to have trainers and doctors. I mean, I hope they're all fit. I hope they don't have underlying medical conditions. I hope they're all younger than 65. Do you know what I mean? That's what I don't understand about the whole thing. Is it's not just like 22 guys or 25 guys or whatever who are young and fit. It's everybody else too. And the whole idea of halves not going for 45 minutes, no fans. At that point, it's just training. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's what we used to call a scrimmage, right? It's just training. It's not. There's no. I think too. One of the things I'm wondering about is the French league canceled. They gave the title to PSG, who'd already won it anyway. They won it before the season even started, so it didn't matter. But then the little club, Amiens, the little club down at the bottom, they've gone down. They're doing promotion relegation. They're like, Saint Etienne barely made it, by the way. They're like 16th, and they barely stayed up. So my French club barely stayed up, but the little club at the bottom is like, we don't accept this. You know what I mean? Like they put in a petition. I don't know what a petition does, but I mean, the French league is nowhere near the money league that the Premier League is. We know that the TV rights aren't the same. None of the stuff is the same. But I can absolutely, if there is a relegation plan in place with the Premier League, or even if the season picks back up, and the relegation happens, but it's in a neutral ground, or it's with no fans, or it's with 30-minute halves, or whatever, I can absolutely see petitions, lawsuits. I mean, am I crazy?
No,
or are they going to say, if we all agree to it, this is how it's going to be?
No, I think you're right. And going on to that, I saw something, I think it was Mail Sport. They broke a story that said the Premier League is threatening Villa, Norwich, and Bournemouth with relegation if they try to stand in the way of starting the season again. So yeah, it's like, what?
But that's crazy.
They try to keep the integrity of the league. They try to keep the integrity of the sport, but then they threaten teams with relegation because they feel like that the safety of their players and their staff are worth more than the TV money and the money that the Premier League is getting, because there's no integrity there.
Well,
Yeah.
And on that,
Yeah.
what's Sky and BT going to say if they do start it up again and they're televising these games and all these games are finishing like 9-9 and 10-10 because nobody wants to tackle anybody.
Yeah.
Right. It's the NHL All-Star game, right? It's the well, it's funny to me that it's okay for Liverpool and Sheffield United and Leicester and the clubs that are at the top of the table to defend their self-interests, but it's not okay for the clubs at the bottom of the table to do that.
Yeah.
And this is a funny attitude to me. well, you're only reason you don't want to finish the season is because you're at the bottom of the table. Well, that is part of it. Okay, it's not the only reason, but that is part of it. Of course, we want to defend our self-interest. So do they. They're doing the same thing. It's the same argument. They want to finish the season so they can go to Europe, win the title, etc. Part of the reason we want to cut it off is so that we don't get relegated under bizarre circumstances. I think there's a real hypocrisy to a lot of supporters who are saying like, oh, this is, you don't have the integrity, West Ham or Brighton or Villa or whatever. We got the same level of integrity they do. We're defending our self-interest. I mean, has anybody else thought about that?
Yeah, it was like, it's all these like, I don't want to like point anyone out, but it is fans on Twitter that I see, and they say, oh, no surprise, it's a West Ham player like Lanzini who doesn't want to start the season until there's a safe way to do so. And it's like, that doesn't make Lanzini a deplorable person.
No.
It doesn't make him a bad person. It makes him a conscientious of the fact that we have a pandemic going on, and there are things more important than the pandemic and than football going on right now.
Right.
And I think that makes Lanzini a good person.
It makes his concern genuine. Yeah, his concern is Aaron Cresswell says, I got a little baby at home. I don't know if I want to go out and catch a virus like this. I read somewhere that Allaire had a newborn, although I'm not sure if that's true, but Cresswell definitely does. Cresswell has a baby at home. He's expressed concerns. But I love this attitude that it's like, oh, it's just because you're West Ham and you're at the bottom of the table. Well, no, I don't think that's the only reason why. And if Liverpool were 10th, do you think they would be so concerned about the integrity of the game?
Yeah.
Or if they were 15th, which I know they never will be, but I don't think they would.
Or better yet, if they were 5th.
Right, exactly. If they were 5th, yeah. I mean, if you're sitting in a position where if the league were canceled today, you're in Europe, whereas you might fall out if it comes back. I mean, are you worried about the integrity of the game? No.
Well, Liverpool are calling for the Women's Super League to be null and void, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And where are they in the table?
For the safety of their players.
Where are they in the table of the Women's League?
Exactly.
Rooted to the bottom. And I mean, like, way off. And only one team gets relegated. Only one club that gets relegated in the Women's League. And Liverpool are like 10 points off the pace. I mean, they may even be mathematically down. I don't know if that's true or not. But, the other thing that strikes me is like mathematically nothing has happened in the Premier League. No relegation, not even a title. Even though I'd give it to Liverpool, I don't care. But there's no way of saying like, well, this would have happened anyway. It's nothing is settled, So it's a mess. And every day I go on Twitter thinking, all right, today's the day where there's some sort of definitive word that comes out. And of course, nothing definitive ever happens. It just keeps going and going. So who are you guys going to support in the Bundesliga? Tell me. Or in the K League. I've got a K League club for us. I'll tell you about them in a minute. Whoever wants to start, go for it. I don't care.
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Have you been a supporter for a while?
Yeah, I lived in Mönchengladbach for 3 years back in the 80s.
There you go.
And the flat I had was literally 100 yards away from the old ground.
Brilliant.
And I went to almost every home game.
There you go.
Absolute lunatics, their fans.
I'm with
Loved
Steve
it.
I'm also a Mönchengladbach fan.
Oh, is that right? Nice.
Yeah, they were the first Champions League team I watched. I watched them play Sevilla, and they also have Fabian Johnson, who is an American. And I was also in one of their. I was also in their pinned tweet for a while. They pinned a tweet, and it was. I said, "Give us the league," and they pinned it and said, "How many retweets for the league at Bundesliga?" And it got like over 10,000 retweets, and everything like that. So that was my tweet as well.
Nice. Cameron, do you have a German club?
Not really. I kind of just loosely follow. I am a Mönchengladbach fan, more just for
I had no idea.
their Twitter admin for me is absolutely hysterically funny, and that's kind of what sold it for me, honestly. But yeah, I kind of loosely follow them, and Borussia Dortmund are kind of the two that I actually loosely pay attention to. If I had a kind of like West Ham type team, I'd probably go for like Schalke, or I was excited to see Union Berlin come up. But it's more just a general interest in the sport than it is like, oh, I'm this German team's fan.
Yeah, I love the Bundesliga. Secretly, I think it's a fantastic league to watch. Not super competitive because Bayern or Dortmund win it every season, but beyond that, actually a lot of fun. John, do you care?
Yeah, not completely, but I'll give a shout out to my six-a-side Monday night players and a good friend of mine, Sebastian, and he is a huge Eintracht Frankfurt fan. So I will be throwing my support behind Eintracht. They seem like always the bridesmaid and never the bride, so I can kind of get behind that as a West Ham fan.
Absolutely, and didn't Allaire came from there, right?
Yep.
He was an Eintracht, yeah. So I have the misfortune of supporting I don't really support a German club, but the German club I've followed now for probably almost 20 years is Hamburg, who now play in the second division. They had the longest run in the history of the Bundesliga of being in the first division since World War II. They had never been relegated, and they got relegated, I think, 2 seasons ago, and they're still down in the second division. But I think I was telling this before we started the show. Some years ago, I went to Munich for a work trip and decided while I was there I'd go see Bayern play at the old Olympic Stadium. And I bought the cheapest ticket in the house. It was €10. And it turned out it was standing on a terrace with the Hamburg supporters, the traveling supporters from Hamburg. So it finished 1-1. Hamburg scored in injury time in the second half to equalize. And the supporters went absolutely bonkers, and they sang all the way back into the city. And it was fantastic. So I couldn't honestly name a current Hamburg player, but I sort of look after their results. But they're not in the first division anymore, so I guess if Bundesliga 2 starts, then I'll have to follow Bundesliga 2 and see if they can make it back up. But
I think they are fighting for promotion. I'm pretty sure it's like them and Hanover are neck and neck for the title.
I think you're right, and Gertner Fruth or somebody like that. I think they're like third. And I think it's like the championship where you've got to be in the top 2 to get automatic promotion, and then it's a playoff outside of that. And who knows if there'll be a playoff? So I'd like to see them.
It's like third and third to last in the Bundesliga. They play each other. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't happen, but I want to welcome Arthur, another friend from Australia. Probably knows Neil because all Australians know each other. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. Just like John and Steve know each other because they're English, That's how that works. So glad you're here. And there's a bunch of other people I've seen too, names scrolling by that I don't recognize. So we're glad you're all here. Now, let's talk about serious business. Let's dispense with the tomfoolery. It is time for the K-League to start back in Korea, South Korea. Although I would love a North Korean football league, but probably they probably are playing. I mean, because they don't care. The K-League is starting back, and I think I have a club that I'm going to support, and it is called Daegu Football Club. It's Daegu, Daegu Football Club. So it's not very old. It's only about 20 years old, but they've never won the K-League, and like every other club in Korea has won the K-League, basically. You know what I mean? They've never won the K-League. They've only won one trophy, and it was the Korean FA Cup 2 years ago in 2018. They've bounced up and down from the first to second division. Relegation in Korea has only existed for like 10 years. You know what I mean? And they've managed to bounce up and down a couple of times. I think it's the most West Ham club I can find to support in Korea. So, and they even wear our blue, this color blue, more or less. So I think it's got to be Daegu Football Club, who play in the, I'm sure, lovely city of Daegu.
How do you spell that, Lee?
You spell it Daegu. I don't speak Korean. I don't
Daegu.
have any idea how you pronounce that. Their website doesn't pull up. That's another reason why they're a lot like West Ham. Stuff just doesn't work. But their Wikipedia page is pretty good in English, so that's not too bad.
Last season. Up
Are you
to
gonna,
date.
are you gonna ask us which Korean teams we're gonna follow, Lee? Because
Yes,
I
I need to
scrambling
know.
right now.
This is very important. I need to know which Korean teams you're going to follow. You could have
I'm looking at Wikipedia, and it's blowing my mind that there are two teams with Hyundai in their name, or Hyundai as it would be in the States.
right.
And there's also a Pohang Steelers. So I feel like the Pennsylvania crowd should probably, well, maybe on the west side of the state.
I was going to say you're a Philly guy. You can't possibly.
Well, my
And
wife's
you?
from Pittsburgh, so
Oh well, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, here we go. See, Rob's been to Daegu. See, he says it's okay. It's okay. That's the kind of club I want to support. An okay club
Yeah.
from an okay city. You can't be a glory hunter, right? You can't support like who do you think wins all the Korean League? Probably a team from Seoul. Probably wins it every
I think
season.
it's
is the Hyundai Motors team. Geobook Hyundai Motors has won the most championships.
I'm not going to cheer for a bunch of Hyundais. I mean, come on. I drive a
It's been won
Toyota, man.
Samsung Blue
I
Wings all
used
through
to
the
work
Korean.
for Hyundai.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Well,
I worked at the import centre at the docks over in Essex.
There's your club then. You've got a K League. You could probably watch it. It's on here like overnight. It's on like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Although I think some of the games start at like 6 a.m. and my kids might have me up by then anyway. So
Now there's a club called Busan iPark.
yes,
Wasn't there just a movie out, Last Train to Busan? Wasn't that a film?
sounds familiar. Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah, and it was properly gruesome and bloodthirsty. I quite liked it. And I have to support them.
Seems appropriate.
Yeah.
I will say the Daegu FC website is up and running. I just went onto it and did the Korean to English translate.
Oh, it
And-
worked.
Yeah,
See, I was doing a little. Christopher Harris is a guy in the U.S. I've worked with him in the past. He runs a site called World Soccer Talk, and yes, I'm sorry about the S word being in there, but he is American. He runs a site called World Soccer Talk, which is really good, by the way. If you ever get a chance to look at it, he does a really, really good job. He's been doing it for years. He's got a little staff now. Chris is a good dude, and he had a primer to the K League that he put up today. So I was doing like a little bit of research today. It's too bad that Hallelujah FC seems to have.
I was just looking at that.
Hallelujah FC, I'm not sure they dissolved in 1998. It's especially disappointing because they were founded on December 20th, 1980, which was my 7th birthday. But alas, there is no more Hallelujah FC, so I think we're going to have to go with our friends in what did I call it? I've already forgotten the name. Daegu.
Daegu.
There you go.
Yeah, Hallelujah FC, commonly known fact, first champions of the K League in 1983.
That's correct. First champions of the K League in 1983, and they won the title one time, and that was it. And then they were done. So, so I'm pretty jacked about the K League. I have to be honest. It's gonna be a lot of names that sound like pretty similar to each other, but we'll get used to it. You know.
I will also say the Daegu FC website is only slightly less sophisticated than my local club, the Richmond Kickers website, which is like 3rd Division USL.
That's right. I know the Richmond Kickers. I've heard of the Richmond Kickers. Yeah, you want to see some websites, start checking out the NPSL, the National Premier Soccer League. That's the club where Tim had the league where Tim had a club. I used to help him with it 6-7 years ago. It's really it gets a little sad down there. I mean, Daegu is owned apparently by the town of Daegu. Like the mayor is the chairman of the club. So no corporate help. It's just like the people's club, you know? I think I'm all in. Between them and Hamburg, Should be a lot of and the sluts in Belarus. Have you guys been following the sluts? Have you guys been following them? No, I'm serious. No,
Always.
Belarus has no coronavirus because they have spas and vodka.
Yep.
And the president of Belarus said if you take a spa and you drink vodka, you're not going to get coronavirus, since that's worked for them pretty well, as far as we know. So, but the sluts, and I said, no, I got to tell you, I'm not a glory hunter, okay? FK Slutsk with a K on the end. Slutsk. FK Slutsk. This was my team as soon as I saw the name. They're top of the table in Belarus, my friends. They are top of the table right now.
They do always like it on top.
Yes, they like it. They're ahead of Torpedo Jodino and Bate Borisov, which once beat Saint Etienne in a European UEFA Cup tie. Yes, that really happened.
Just going to turn into American Sluts TV.
like when West Ham lost to Kajagoogoo 2 seasons running in the UEFA Cup qualifiers. Energetic BGU, it's like they're ahead of their tops. They're doing really well. So I got to tell you, yeah, I'm proud of the sluts and happy that Belarus has found a way to avoid this problem that all the rest of us have. Their league's still going. Maybe Belarus. That's the way to go. Vodka and spas.
How quick until ESPN pick up all these leagues? Because they ran an article today that was like the top 25 sneakers or trainers of all time.
Oh, ESPN is sad and pathetic, and they're already showing Korean baseball. So overnight, they're showing live Korean baseball games played without fans. Also a league with a bunch of teams with names like Hyundai in it. Now, from what Chris Harris said on his site today, there's been no U.S. Pickup of the K-League yet, but it is being streamed for free on YouTube, or at least like the opening week is being streamed for free on YouTube. So if you find yourself up at, well, Steve, you could probably watch it. You're a little closer to, that part of the world than we are, but there's something like 13 hours ahead of, they're 13 hours ahead of us here on the East Coast. And so they're 16 hours ahead of California, which is like an insane, but if you find yourself up at like 3:00 in the morning and you're here in this country, then I think you should absolutely check out the K-League and our friends from Daegu as we,
That might be worth watching just to hear the commentators trying to pronounce their names.
I think yeah, right? I mean, I don't know if they're going to have like English commentary, but I would love to get like Ian Dark or Martin Tyler or
could you imagine? Oh, that would be funny.
Well,
I want to see all the statistics behind it. I have an inkling that the Sluts may be the most accidentally watched team in America right now.
Yeah, I think so. Well, there's a little. It's like there's a K on the end. Like it's like Slutsk. There's like a K that throws you off a little bit. But FK Sluts is pretty good if you say it phonetically. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good bet that somebody has run across that while looking for something else. It's my personal feeling that all football matches should be called by the legendary Ray Hudson. If you guys haven't ever heard Ray Hudson do games on, I used to be on Gold TV. I don't know where he is now. Maybe be on BN Sport. I don't know. He's a Geordie, played for Newcastle, but the dude is like out of his mind. So if I think Ray Hudson doing Korean football, I may never have to watch anything else again. I could just watch that over and over forever. That might be as good as it gets. Anyway, so it is 10 minutes after 10. It is about time for us to turn over to the to nothing, I guess. Back into the abyss of not doing anything, having anything to do or talk about. So Steve, now I want to say congratulations to you. You won the West Ham quiz show earlier tonight. Is that right?
Tonight, yeah.
And that was what's it called? Hammer Shots. Called Hammer Shots.
Yep.
And who was on with you? Do you remember?
I was up against Justin.
Oh, Justin. Yeah, our friend in Chicago. Yeah, our buddy Justin. He's a good dude. Can you remember what some of the questions were? Like, how hard is it? Because I haven't watched it yet, I have to confess. I was putting the voice.
Oh, do you know what? It was ridiculously hard.
Was it really?
Oh, I mean, when Adam does the questions, you know, if you're just talking about it in a situation like this, it would be a lot easier, I think. But when you're actually sort of in a quiz situation, and he's saying, "Come on, you got 5 seconds," and he's like, "Hang on, let me think." No, you got 5 seconds. Come on.
So
And your mind goes blank, and
yeah, you're not Googling, in other words.
God, no.
We have a man of integrity.
Yeah, indeed.
So what did he ask? Do you remember one of the questions? I just want to get a feel for whether I actually want to do this or not, because I'm not sure I want to embarrass myself.
You should do it. I'll tell you what, it is a great show, and it is a great laugh. And you can tell he has put a lot of work into it.
I'm sure
the
he
1
has.
minute round is tough. There's 10 questions. There's a couple of true or false. There's a couple of multiple choice in there, but you've got 10 questions and a minute to answer 10 questions, and he puts a countdown clock right in the middle of the screen.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Where did you get that technology? I didn't know we were that sophisticated. Or does he just hold it up?
Yeah.
Just like give it a
Yeah. No. It's all you know.
Really?
Brought in from another screen. Yeah, it's fantastic what he does.
How has he learned to do all this stuff?
Oh,
wow.
He's brilliant.
He's a wizard.
And there's a hangman round. We play hangman.
So you go back. So everybody should go back, and if you didn't watch it live tonight, it was at 8:00, right before we started. So go back and watch it. All right, go to the YouTube channel. American Hammers TV on YouTube. Watch it, check it out, and if you want to be on it, let us know. I'm sure we'll need contestants.
It's a great show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm looking forward to watching it like week by week. So
yeah.
And we're also going to start a show pretty soon with Hammers.
I have heard that Rebecca's very keen to get on the show.
We would obviously love to have Rebecca on the show. Rebecca's doing a show now with Katie from Philly. And Ray is on there too, isn't he? I think he is.
Yeah.
But we love having Rebecca and Katie on. And then they've started doing that, I think, every week. I think it's in the afternoons because Rebecca's in England, although she's with us right now in the middle of the night, along with you, Steve.
Yeah.
And Katie's in Philly. So Rebecca and Katie are doing a show, and then we're going to start doing a thing pretty soon with Hammers Polls too. Where we're going to talk about, which I didn't even think about doing tonight. There's a ton of Hammers Polls we could have done, and I totally forgot about it. But that's okay. We're doing a Hammers Polls show pretty soon with one of the guys from Hammers Polls. So Tim puts this stuff all together. I'm telling you, the dude should work for Netflix, or you know what I mean? One of these, like, he should be a programming manager for a network, because he does this with like zero budget and just by cajoling people to do it, and Dave does a great job. So
when he was over here with Gary, they came over for that long weekend.
Yes, that's right. You hung out with them. Yeah,
and I hung out with a pair of them. But to actually see Tim in action, the guy's unbelievable. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He don't stop.
No, listen. If you guys had known him when he was running the football club in Lowell, where he lives, and next to where I live, you wouldn't have believed it. You wouldn't have believed what we managed to do with zero money, too. I mean, it was amazing. We got 3 seasons of semi-pro football on, like, not even a shoestring, And some of the people we had to deal with, oh, man, that's a whole series of podcasts, I could go into about some of the people, literal mobsters, like actual, like, organized crime. I don't know, insane people from all over the world trying to get them visas to come play. Like we can't do that. We don't have the power to do that. TV people, sponsors, advertisers, a crazy guy who ran a bar that got shut down because he assaulted a hockey player in the bar. I mean, it was, if this thing goes on long enough, I'll just start having Tim on, and we'll just talk about it for like an hour, and everybody's gonna love it. It's really, the stories are really pretty good. The stories are really pretty good.
Do it.
Yeah, I think we should do it. Anyway, but no, the dude he never stops. He never gives up. He's the most determined person I've ever known. So glad he's doing this for us. Well, to everybody in the chat room, Oh wait, here we go. Rebecca says it starts next Thursday. There you go, Rebecca and Katie next Thursday. I think that's great. That's fantastic. Happy to have them both on. Katie knows her football. I'm sure Rebecca does too. Katie was like the runner-up in the Friday Night Lights thing, John, that you do. So, and I'm not suggesting that there was any bias among Englishmen between you and Charlie. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's harsh.
I don't know. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want to suggest that you handed the victory to Charlie so that he wouldn't be embarrassed by a Yank.
So I think that was a very close contest, and the chat room actually, the vote in the chat was tied. As well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very close.
Good to know. Well, I'm sure I wouldn't want to impugn your integrity. So
Thank
no,
you.
no, but seriously, it's a great show. So everybody in the chat room, it's great to see you here. Steve, Cameron, Joss, John, you guys want to say anything else before we go?
Shout out to Wally World in the chat saying that Tim will own West Ham one day, because that would be quite an upgrade.
Oh, it would be a massive upgrade, and we'd get a new ground because we had the Spanish architect in Lowell. So we were showing. I didn't go on the trip, but Tim was showing him sites where he wanted to build a stadium. I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe this stuff, man. You wouldn't believe this stuff. It's fantastic. I'd forgotten all about the Spanish architect, but yeah, great stuff. He will own West Ham. We will all work for West Ham when he owns West Ham, and that's when West Ham will finally win the Premier League and the Champions League and everything else. Yeah. So anyway, enough rambling. I promise not to talk as much tonight. I did not keep that promise. But but Joss, Cameron, John, Steve, everybody in the chat room, love you all. Hopefully football comes back soon. If not, come back and see us again tomorrow night. Somebody's got to be on tomorrow night. I don't do Sunday nights anymore because I can only manage 1 hour a week of talking about coronavirus and everything else. But I will see you again on Wednesday. And I say, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.